Ever heard of a battle that almost single-handedly knocked a major country out of World War I? A battle where a new, terrifying form of warfare shattered an entire army in just a few days. Today, we're re-diving deep into one of the most catastrophic and influential battles you've probably never heard of. The Battle of Caporetto. This isn't just a story of defeat. It's the story of a nation pushed to the brink, the birth of modern infiltration tactics, and a desperate struggle for survival that would change the course of the war. By late 1917, the Italian front had become a brutal, stagnant meat grinder. For over 2 years, the Italian army, under the command of General Luigi Cadorna, had been throwing itself against the Austro-Hungarian lines along the Isonzo River. 11 bloody battles had been fought, resulting in hundreds of thousands of casualties for minimal gains. The landscape itself was a nightmare, treacherous, mountainous region where soldiers fought uphill against well-entrenched enemies. Morale in the Italian army was plummeting. The soldiers were exhausted, poorly supplied, and led by a general who believed in discipline through fear, often resorting to decimation, executing 1 in every 10 men in a unit to enforce orders. Meanwhile, the Austro-Hungarian Empire was also on its last legs. The relentless Italian attacks, though costly, had taken their toll. They were desperate, so they turned to their powerful ally, Germany. The Germans, fresh from their successes on the Eastern Front, saw an opportunity. They agreed to send help, but not just men and guns. They sent their best and brightest, including a tactical genius, General Otto von Below, and 7 elite divisions. More importantly, they brought a revolutionary new military doctrine, the stormtrooper tactics, this wasn't the traditional wave-after-wave assault that defined trench warfare. This was something new, something fast and terrifying. The idea was to bypass enemy strongpoints, not conquer them. Small, heavily armed elite units would infiltrate deep behind enemy lines, targeting command centers, communication lines, and artillery positions. Their job was to create chaos and paralysis, allowing the main infantry forces to follow up and mop up the now disorganized defenders. It was warfare in 3 dimensions, focused on speed and surprise. The plan for the offensive, codenamed Ww1, or loyalty in arms, was meticulous. The target was the Italian line near the town of Caporetto, now known as Caporetto in Slovenia. This sector was considered quiet, held by the Italian Second Army, which was poorly deployed. General Cadorna, arrogant and dismissive of intelligence reports, had placed his troops in vulnerable positions along the valley floors, with their reserves too far back to be effective. He believed the mountainous terrain was impassable for a major offensive. He was about to be proven catastrophically wrong. In the early morning hours of October 24, 1917, the storm began. A hurricane of artillery fire, unlike anything seen before on the Italian front, slammed into the Italian lines. But it wasn't just high explosives. The Germans and Austrians unleashed a massive barrage of poison gas shells, phosgen and dipyskine. The gas, heavier than air, sank into the Italian trenches, dugouts, and valleys. The Italian gas masks were faulty and offered little protection. Panic erupted. Soldiers suffocated in their positions or fled in terror. The Italian command and control system began to collapse before the first enemy soldier had even crossed the lines. Then, under the cover of the bombardment, fog and rain, the stormtroopers advanced. They moved silently and swiftly, cutting through barbed wire and slipping through gaps in the Italian defenses. They didn't engage in prolonged firefights. They bypassed machine gun nests, leaving them for the follow-on troops. They surged up the valleys and over the ridges, appearing where they were least expected. Italian commanders suddenly found their headquarters under attack, their phone lines cut, and their artillery batteries being captured from behind. The effect was devastating. The Italian front didn't just bend, it shattered. Entire units dissolved, not from casualties, but from confusion and fear. Soldiers, seeing their officers killed and their positions overrun from the rear, threw down their weapons and surrendered or simply ran. The carefully constructed lines of the Italian Second Army ceased to exist within hours. It was a complete tactical and psychological collapse. The breakthrough at Caporetto turned into a full-blown rout. The Austro-German forces poured through the massive gap in the Italian line. What followed was one of the longest and most chaotic retreats in military history. The Italian Second and Third Armies were forced to fall back, a desperate scramble to escape encirclement. The retreat was a scene of utter pandemonium. Roads were clogged with a disorganized mass of soldiers, civilians, carts, and equipment. Bridges became bottlenecks of chaos. The army lost all cohesion. In just a few weeks, the Central Powers advanced over 100 kilometers, an unheard-of distance in the static warfare of World War I. They pushed the Italians all the way back to the Piave River, just a stone's throw from Venice. Italy lost over 300,000 men as prisoners, and another 40,000 killed or wounded. A vast amount of artillery and supplies was captured. The country was on the verge of total collapse. It seemed that Italy was about to be knocked out of the war. But this disaster, this disfatta di Caporetto, as it's known in Italy, also created a strange and powerful reaction. The threat of annihilation galvanized the Italian people. The war was no longer an abstract conflict in the mountains. The enemy was now on Italian soil, threatening their homes. A wave of national unity swept the country. The slogan, "Di qui non si passa," they shall not pass, became the rallying cry. The government in Rome fell. General Cadorna, the architect of the disaster, was finally dismissed. He was replaced by General Armando Diaz. Diaz was a completely different kind of leader. He understood the importance of morale. He improved the soldiers' rations, increased their leave time, and established better support services. He treated his men like human beings, not just cogs in a machine. He promised them land after the war and fostered a sense of fighting for a national cause, not just for the orders of a distant general. The remnants of the Italian army, battered and broken, managed to establish a new defensive line along the Piave River. Britain and France, shocked by the collapse of their ally, rushed reinforcements to bolster the front. The Austro-German advance, having outrun its supply lines, finally ground to a halt at the Piave. There, the revitalized Italian army they repulsed several major attacks in the months that followed. The Battle of Caporetto was a tactical masterpiece for the Germans and a national trauma for Italy. It demonstrated the incredible effectiveness of stormtrooper tactics, which the Germans would later use to devastating effect in their 1918 spring offensive on the Western Front. For Italy, it was a near-death experience that forced a complete overhaul of its military and a rediscovery of its national will. A year later, it would be this same reborn Italian army that would launch the final, victorious offensive at Vittorio Veneto, crushing the Austro-Hungarian army and ending the war on the Italian front. So, while Caporetto is remembered as Italy's greatest military humiliation, it was also the crucible in which its final victory was forged. It's a powerful lesson in how catastrophic defeat can sometimes plant the seeds of ultimate triumph. It shows that leadership, morale, and national unity are just as important as tactics and firepower on the battlefield. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this dive into a forgotten corner of World War I interesting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into military history. Let us know in the comments what other battles you'd like to see us cover. See you next time.